Good evening and a happy Sunday to you. I hope you had a restorative weekend. So I wanted to focus tonight on evaluating our happiness. So what do I mean by that? I saw a great little comic strip that had these two little stick figures, and one was wearing a little t-shirt that said happiness, and the other stick figure said, "I've been looking for that everywhere. Where did you find it?" The other said, "I made it myself." Right? So let's dig into this a little bit. Happiness is not the same from person to person, right? There's lots of things in our environment that might contribute to someone being happy versus unhappy. Your culture, your spiritual background, your financial state, or the place that you live in, the value that's put on finances. So many things will figure into what happiness means for you. So that's the first thing to acknowledge, is the fact that it is not a one-size-fits-all t-shirt, okay? That it really needs you to determine for yourself, what does it mean? So it's interesting that there's actually different ways of breaking this down. If you look at the Gallup World Poll, they look at different parameters. They look at 5. They look at social, physical, financial, community, and purpose. Okay, so if we looked at that throughout the world, those are the things that they use for really 75 to 80% of the world's population. Those things can tell them quite a bit about how those humans are doing in their well-being. So they look at those parameters. And then we look at just different things for different communities and for you. So there's 3 really categories that you might want to think about, and what really feeds your bucket, yeah, your soul bucket. And it doesn't have to be just one, but you probably will align yourself with one more than another, I should say. The first one is experienced happiness. So really the everyday positive affect, joy, laughter, engaging in something that just is making you feel alive and good. Yeah? So that's the one type. The other one is a eudaimonic happiness, and this one is more about living a life of fulfillment, of acknowledging that you have contributed to something of worth, of merit in your community, something that really makes you feel like you're living your life for a reason. Yeah? So that's the eudaimonic happiness. And the last one is a life satisfaction. So this one is a little bit more of a qualitative. It's on a scale of 0 to 10, where you think about, are you living your values? And are you proud of your accomplishments? It's a little bit different. It tends to have a little more of a financial focus. And certainly in this one, you might find yourself giving up a little more of the first one, where you're living in the moment and you have lots of joy and moments of happiness, because you're moving towards something that will really fulfill you. So, but every day you're experiencing that progress. And so it's not that you're waiting for happiness, you're putting little contributions into that bank account every day. So it's interesting, right? I mean, there's lots of different ways of looking at what our happiness means and assessing it. So are you then one who finds happiness in pleasure and happiness, experiential joy? Is it that you find happiness in a life of purpose? Or is it that you find happiness in the pride of what you are doing day to day? Interesting? Yeah, so there's a really great number of resources for you to look into yourself. Certainly look into that Gallup report I mentioned. There is actually an annual World Happiness Report, which is really pretty interesting, and it goes through all these parameters, and it gives a report of which countries and which cultures are experiencing what year to year. And there's a new book that I am going to be reading. It's the 4th from this particular author, Dan Buettner, and it's The Blue Zones of Happiness. He was part of the Happiness Project a number of years ago. Really quite interesting. Take a look around at some of those resources, and really what I wanted you to do is just to hear that happiness is yours. You choose day to day what that means, but wouldn't it be interesting if you took a little time to notice what you're already doing that's contributing to your happiness? And then maybe thinking about what really does align with you that maybe you can invest a little more time and energy in day to day. Explore and own your happiness. Get that t-shirt, make it for yourself. All right, have a wonderful week, and I'll look forward to talking to you next Sunday. Namaste.